what do you actually do for a living now?
For a living. So I work at BAE Systems, so a defence company in the Northwest, and I mainly work in business intelligence.
Yeah. Are you allowed to
So
tell
I
which one
look
you
at
work
how.
at?
So I work between Wharton and Salisbury. I work at either, but I work from home here as well quite a lot because a lot of what I do is dashboarding, working with data, project management, that sort of things. Yeah, so I can work from anywhere really.
She said business.
Business intelligence.
Okay. So can you
So that
describe to me
is,
what that actually
yeah,
is? Because I have no idea.
yeah, business intelligence. It's sort of the taking data and visualizing it in a way that people understand. So it's kind of making sense of the data that we create every day, and especially in the business where we are. We can't go into too many specifics, but it's essentially looking at aircraft data, process data, using tools and techniques to visualize that to help people make decisions, and also a lot around automation of things. So trying to move people away from working PowerPoint slides day after day after day and trying to automate those sorts of processes so they can just use data to drive reviews and improve things. So yeah, business intelligence, that's my side that I work on at least.
So is that looking at the finished product data, or is that looking at the business data?
Both, yeah. So I have worked previously looking at aircraft. So obviously in the Northwest, we sort of build aircraft generally. That's kind of what traditionally we're known for. What maybe not so many people realize is to support that aircraft then and maintain that aircraft. We do a lot of work around that. So a lot of the work I had been doing, although I haven't recently, was around analyzing that sort of information that was coming in from different bits of aircraft and seeing maybe where things can be improved. But also our own processes internally as well, where specifically if technical queries were coming in from customers, so any of the aircrafts, any of the air forces across the world that are using them, how long are those taking us to turn around, and why, and where are the pinch points on things like that. So a bit of both.
That's pretty interesting. Do you enjoy it?
I do enjoy it in the main. Yes, I do enjoy it. Yes, there's always it's the same with anything in a company that big. There's always the politics and the bureaucracy that we have to go through and the hurdles we have to get through. But yeah, generally I do enjoy it. Yes.
Yeah. So when did you start there? Because I know that BAE have quite a good progression system, don't they?
They do. Yes, they do. So it's quite open. So I started there. Actually, I've done 2 stints at BAE Systems. The first one was with British Aerospace, as it was. So that was 1997 to 2001. And then the second stint was 2008, and I've been there since 2008. So what are we on now? Nearly pushing, 17 years? Yeah. Yeah, 17 years, the second stint. Yes.
That's quite cool. So did you come in as well, as the role you're doing now?
No. No, I was
Yeah.
I was an apprentice, so I did the craft apprenticeship. So in 1997, working at the old Strand Road factory, well, that had actually gone down, but the training centre was still there. So I was a fitter. So I was filing bits of metal and making things fit on aircraft, basically. So I was a fitter for a number of years. I left and went to work in hospitality and doing various bits and pieces. And then when I came back, I was still a fitter, and I was a fitter for, I think, about 5 years when I came back. And then I've kind of progressed in my career up the working in quality, and then now I'm working in like more of a maintenance and engineering role and support role.
It's quite crazy when you think about airplanes being hand built.
It was at the time. It's probably not as much now. It's kind of hand assembled is what we do now. Sort of build all the parts and then assemble it all like a Lego kit is more what happens these days, or with all the additive manufacturing and 3D printing and stuff. Don't think we've got round to 3D printing full size yet, but yeah, we're certainly getting. They build the units and build the parts and then just click them all together.
Yeah. No, that sounds really interesting. So you've got a
Yeah,
full-time job,
I do.
and you're also building your own little business as well on the side.
I
So do you
am.
want to just
I am.
walk me through what your business is?
Yes. So my business, MGD, my Goalie Development. Um, it's a ice hockey goalie coaching and training business. So we cover lots and lots of different aspects of it. So we can go to clubs and work along there with their goalies at their existing training sessions. I run sessions out of my garage, which I've had repurposed to have synthetic ice in there. And we use the VR MetaQuest headset and Sensorina to help goalies kind of be able to move on the ice and do that. We can and have done video analysis in the past. We do run the camps that we do. So you're at one just this weekend. So our third one is coming up with Swindon as well. So those are over a weekend. And we cover lots of sort of any aspects you can think around goalies, goalie coaching, advice.
Yeah, so it sounds like you got quite a few kind of products that you sell.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got the video analyzing, which you said you have done before, but you're not currently doing. Is that
not
correct?
Currently doing. I haven't ever sold that before, no.
Yeah, but it's a good product anyway. And then you've got the on-ice camps. Do you do any off-ice camps as well?
I don't do camps, so I don't do specifically camps. The main reason being is that isn't my area speciality. So I work more on ice. When it comes to off ice, I do parts. So I use things like Blaze Pods and again the VR headsets and Crazy Catch and things like that to do off ice work and off ice drills, but it's still not my speciality and it doesn't interest me as much. So I don't specifically run off ice. Whenever I have to do that for camps, I tend to sort of delegate that out and bring people in to run that side of things for me, who know what they're doing a little bit better than I do.
Yeah. Well, that's really interesting. So the other question I wanted to ask you about what your business is who is it that you're really targeting? Is it the younger kids or is it professionals or mid-range?
I'm not really targeting anyone at the moment. I mean, at the minute, most of my business is mainly juniors, so teenagers. I would like to work more with professionals. So obviously I worked with the Hawks a little bit last season and the season before that with Ollie and Ben at the Hawks at the time. Helped them. A little bit more difficult when you're coming into a training session that's already run. So you tend more then have to set up video, do video work and then work in the background or work sort of alongside them. But not really I can't say I'm specifically targeting a set of person, like a certain age group or a certain professionalism. We try and keep it open, especially as it's quite new. I don't really want to it's already a fairly niche market and a fairly niche market within a niche market as well. So I don't want to narrow myself down so small that I don't have any opportunities.
So I know you say you're not really targeting anyone. You'd kind of like to keep it quite broad, but have you found a particular demographic coming to you?
Yeah, definitely. I would say it's mostly around teenagers, and it's mostly parents who reach out to me rather than the kids themselves, obviously, at that age. But yes, it is mainly sort of between the 11 and 16 age range is the vast majority. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that time when you're a teenager and your parents are driving you is probably the best time for you to get involved anyway, because that's when they're the most capable to learn. I think it's spot on. Yeah,
what I found, so obviously working with the guys who have sort of been there and working at the high level, so again, going back to Ben and Ollie, working with those guys, it's mainly video work and it's mainly very small tweaks. There isn't anything massive when they get to that level. That's a huge, big sort of step change in improvement. It shouldn't be at that level. If there is, then fair enough. It's mainly little tweaks and mainly focusing on basics and small little things that they want to work on. So they kind of come to you, which can be more difficult in a way. You've kind of got to really look and really spot things, and you'll tend to find errors that maybe don't happen so often. So what you're looking for with those level of guys is patterns. What keeps happening? And then working with them on that. Or they'll come to you, I want to work on this. I think this is happening. So they'll have better ideas. When it comes to younger kids or people of lesser ability, say, it is more basics and it is more quite big changes that you can make fairly quickly. And that's quite rewarding as well. Quite rewarding to, for instance, like even for the level, kids not being able to stand up on the ice themselves. As a goalie, it's quite hard when you first start to get up off the ice, especially for small kids with maybe not great leg strength. And just getting them to do that on their own, being able to do that is just fantastic. You know, it's something that basic where, as at a semi-professional level, you should never be coming across that. I would like to hope.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're either going for like those kind of 1% small improvements, or you're going for like the big changes that will have a drastic effect.
Yeah, I mean, bit of both. So obviously, as the kids are getting better and developing, you are looking for those more incremental gains, the small gains. Because as they get better, there isn't the big changes anymore. There isn't the big step change. Because they've sort of worked on it, and perhaps they've built in bad habits or their own style as well. There is a bit of not an argument, there is a case to be said for some of the goalie training, and if you look in the NHL, it's a little bit cookie cutter. You're going to get the same style of goalie, top to bottom. So your butterfly style goalie with the same techniques we teach in and out. Whereas the kids I work with, you're going to find slightly different techniques or slightly different things that maybe you don't quite want to train out just yet. You don't want to sort of discourage it. It's like, actually, let's just see that develop. So if kids are holding the catcher really low, but actually they've got fantastically fast catch hands, like, okay, well, let's just see how that works. Or their blocker is over their leg pad, like little basic things that you'd instantly say, right, we need to change this. Eventually, we probably will get there. But it's always interesting to have that bit of experimentation with the guys as well, to say, okay, well, if that's your style right now, let's see how that develops, and if we need to change it, we can.
It's quite interesting that oftentimes you find that the best athletes don't do their things perfectly. They've got a unique little twist on them. So it's probably quite a good idea to kind of feed into or lean into everyone's differences.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, yes.
I do find it interesting.
Yeah,
it's like
the different. Yeah, everyone is different, and you've got to adjust your coaching style slightly. There's only so much that I can do. I'm the person I am, and I have a coaching style, and I can adjust and I can bend. And certain coaches work better with other athletes, and yourself through playing hockey for as long as you have, is you're gonna have coaches you've maybe learnt more or clicked more than others. And that's just the way of the world. Yeah.
Yeah. I've always found coaching, you really need to find out what makes the kid tick, or the person you're teaching tick. I think it's a skill in itself, being able to teach someone. It's not easy.
It's not easy. It's not easy, and there's a lot of work and practice. I'm currently actually through work. I'm training to be an executive coach. So slightly different than the sort of hockey coaching, sport coaching. It's much more question-based. They would, or that side of executive coaching, they would class coaching as in hockey coaching more mentoring, and coaching as in more questioning and helping people find their own answers. And as athletes get to higher levels, that's kind of where you want to be, is you kind of want to give them the skill set, or they have the skill set to find their own answers. And certainly that's what I try and build into younger kids as well. There's quite a bit more directive coaching, but ultimately what we're aiming for is those kids are able to go away and find their own answers and know the issues and be able to handle them themselves.
Yeah, I think an important skill is being able to teach kids that you can figure out what's wrong on your own. Being able to figure out what's wrong and how to fix it is really important.
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely it is, yes. And that's part of the skill of teaching and coaching, is you've got to be able to break things down and make it understandable to someone as well, and to that person. And how are you gonna check? So something I always like, and so it's quite a quote from a book I've been reading recently around the Coach's Guide to Teaching, it's called, is you might have taught it, but have they learnt it? So how are you going to check on that? And that's the key. I can tell someone how to do something. I can show them how to do something in lots of different techniques, but until they actually take it in and learn it and do it themselves, then it hasn't hit home.
Yeah. So we've spoken a little bit about what your business is and how you're helping people. But what I'm more interested in, and for the sake of this podcast, is I want to know how you started, and in particular, what kind of stages you felt like you went through.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So I've played hockey for a long, long time. Since I was born in Canada and played there since I was 5, and then came to England with my parents, and obviously played. We didn't even have a rink at Blackburn to start. I was playing in Altrincham, and then played up. And I started as a goalie probably when I was, I think, 11, and played sort of at Blackburn through the junior setup there. And when I hit sort of 14, 15, that was when I started getting called up to the Hawks, for injury cover and stuff like that. But also that was when I started having regular goalie coaches. I was lucky. Not every club does. And it wasn't a goalie coach. It was one of the goalies from the Hawks at the time, or 2 of them, in fact, as it was, used to come down fairly regularly and help me. And I think when I turned 16, I did my level 1 coaching course, as it was at the time, so I could help then coach other kids. And so age 16 and 17, I was helping coaching through Blackburn, through the goalies. And then I left hockey for a good few years when I was 18, and then came back. And I suppose, when did I pick it up again? I picked it up again probably 3 years ago. Was it 3? Yeah, 2021, 2022 it was. And I'd been playing a while again, and I'd kind of gone through playing, in lower leagues and then in rec hockey, and just wanted to get back into coaching and get back into that, because it was quite I find it rewarding. Is what that was always the start. Is just getting that buzz. That was what started it. So I got in touch with Blackburn Juniors Academy at the time, and they brought me down, and I think through EIHA, as it was at the time, England Ice Hockey, I managed to get my level 1 reinstated. Or I might have got there was something I had to do. I think I had to do something, pay some money probably, and got my level 1 reinstated. And that's sort of one of my coaching badges. So I started off at Blackburn in the academy there, and was just down there every week with the kids, just helping coach them. So I would tend to get the goalies on a station, coaching and learning as well. So through Blackburn, I actually got some contacts. Davy Lawrence, who's at Leeds Knights, and he does the Team England, the England junior setup for the goalies. Dave Clancy, who's at D-side and has been a goalie coach for a long time as well. Sort of shadowed him for a little while. He helped me out quite a bit. And then, what was it? I'm trying to think. So for me, because I didn't have any kids at Blackburn, so most of the coaches you'll find in the junior setups, the vast majority are parents and kind of players who've got kids coming up, and that's still the case at most clubs these days. It tends to be more parents of kids who happen to play hockey, and now their kids are playing hockey, and you can see that kind of development up. Now, I didn't have any kids at Blackburn, and I was a qualified coach, and I was probably on the ice there. Maybe sometimes it was sort of 4 hours at a time, because you'd go on with development and stay there the whole way through. And it was a lot. It was asking a lot. And it got to the point where I thought, well, I'm giving all this time and it's great, but I've done my coaching badges, and I'm seeing other coaches who, no one makes a fantastic amount of money, but all I really wanted was to be compensated for my time a little bit and travel. So I actually spoke to Steve Hurst, one of your former guests on here. So Steve Hurst, who was the head coach. He wasn't the head coach. He was one of the leads of the academy at the time. And he sat me down and just explained to Steve, it's like, I'm thinking of starting this as a business, and how would you go about it? And Steve kind of really hammered home to me. It's like, actually, Matt, you have to value your own time. and you have to set a price on that. And if you're uncomfortable with that, you've got to get over that. So you've got to put a pound value on your time. Because he does for the coaching. He's like, I charge X amount per hour. And he was open to me and told me what it was. I was like, okay, that makes sense. I'm going to make a go at this. So I did. I was coaching at Blackburn. I was coaching at Manchester as well with their juniors. I was also coaching, I think, was I doing Widnes at the time? Maybe not. But then I launched MGD sort of as just had a logo kind of and thought, right, how am I going to do this? And kind of put the word out there. It's like, I can come and help you at your club. So I think it was Widnes. It might have been who was the first club that reached out to me and said, can you come help with our goalies? So that was my sort of...
This was like the very start, wasn't it? So what was the date of this? Was this 2024?
Late 2023.
Like 2023.
Late 2023.
So just a year and a half, basically.
Yeah. So it's fairly new. It's still new. So obviously I worked with Mikey Gilbert down at Widnes, and then Bradford got in touch to do the same there. So I'm still at Bradford now. But that was how it started. That was how it all started. It started at Blackburn. And I kind of started valuing my time a bit more. So I ended up having to, well, I didn't cut ties, but I said, I'm not going to come here anymore because I've got the option to go elsewhere who are going to compensate me for my time and my effort as a qualified coach. I did my level 2 coaching badge. I got some experience, like say at Hawks at that higher level as well, helping with those guys. And I'd already known Ollie for a little while and worked with Ollie. He used to come down on the Tuesdays to the academy sessions so I could work with him one-on-one. So that really helped me too. So it's all about grabbing those, for me, sort of grabbing the learning wherever you can get it, but also valuing your time. So if I go to a club and said, I'm going to do this for free, they'll happily take that. No problem. That will work for a little while, but then I'll realize I'm out spending my time 3-4 hours, whatever, with travel included, and I'll quickly get fed up of that. And so it's like, okay, well, now that I've set this up, it's like people ask, what's your base rate? What's your travel rate? And that's the price. That's the price. And if it's not a fortune, but if the club aren't able to meet that or not willing to meet that, that's fine. That's fine. No problem. But so far, so good. At the start of this year, we became a company. So it's a registered company now, My Goalie Development. I believe it's the only sort of registered goalie coaching company there is in the UK. There are some other goalie coaching options, but none of them registered as a business. So that was an effort for me to try and professionalize a little bit more. We had the website built around Christmas time. So we've got these sort of payment methods. It gives us another platform to help advertise on as well. And obviously trying to build up the social media. I've actually probably done a little bit less of that more recently, so I need to get back on top of that. But and having the camps running obviously is good. So we moved from doing one camp in Bradford last year, and this year we've got 2 planned. So obviously we'll run the first one, the second one's coming up too. So it's just slowly building and trying as well to get my garage synthetic ice, virtual ice we call it, up and running a little bit more. We've got regular customers up to do that. I also I do private tuition too. So every week I go to one lad's house actually to go and help him in his garage, sort of train. He's got a similar setup to me, but I kind of go there to help him weekly as well and get that set up. So yeah, it's building. It's building slowly.
Okay. So it sounds like you've gone through quite a natural progression then. So you started with this talent that you have, and then someone's made you aware that you could actually, or you should actually value your own time because you've got this skill. And it'd be I don't know what the word is. It's unfair to yourself not to capitalize on that. So you've done that, and then so you started charging.
Yes.
And then what was it between then and getting your website? Was it mostly social media marketing or just trying to get as much work as possible?
It was mainly social media, I would say, and word of mouth. So obviously working through Widnes and then through Bradford, you get to know the parents of the goalies, you get to know the goalies themselves. So a lot of the guys that I tend to have here tend to be the goalies from those clubs. And you see the advertisements and say that the guy who I go to every week now for the private tuition, that was through social media. They saw an advert for something and reached out to me and just sort of pitched this idea of, could you come to us? So it's been a slow progression, but that's okay because I've always run this as a very low risk. Like, this is not my main source of income, and I don't think it ever will be, and that's fine by me. So this for me is it's a paid hobby that one day I would like. The dream would be to make it a viable business that I could live off. And I don't think in this country, I could be wrong, it's viable at the moment. Certainly not the way I run it, because I run things that I don't run it to make money. And to be viable, you have to make a living wage and make money from it. I don't run this to make a ton of money. I run it to break even and try and get the enjoyment out and try and raise the level, I suppose, not just of, I think, the goalies in general, but also goalie coaches in general too. It was a bit of a challenge. You know, I had some good feedback, I had some good advice, I had some bad advice as well, and I had to weed that out. I'm not going to name any names, but I had to sort of weed out, and you know, I took some bad advice in some places, and had I listened to that advice, I wouldn't have had run the camps, I wouldn't have had a business today, I wouldn't have done these things. Had I listened to it, I would have stayed in my little narrow lane I was in.
I'm really glad that you're kind of branching out a bit. Because I remember when you were just kind of starting up, and to see you go from there to where you are now is quite a big jump in a year. Just one final question I wanted to ask you based on the conversation we just had. It was so the marketing, were you pushing and driving that, or did you find it came quite naturally?
Marketing, the social. So I had to drive it. I really had to drive that, and that was uncomfortable for me. So that was out of my comfort zone. That's where the magic happens, and that's where I teach all the goalies and through work. It's so I'm 44 years old. I've always used Facebook, and I'm okay. I'm pretty good with IT, just my job. But I'd never used Instagram before. I'd never used it to promote a business ever. If you look on my Facebook profile, there's just nothing on there, really. I don't generally post. I just use it to keep in touch with family, friends, whatever. I don't really use it for that. So to then build a business from that was a big step for me. So I had to sort of learn by doing. So, you know, it's quite clunky. It's just me. In the past, I have used some outside help as well with that. So I will occasionally go onto a site like Fiverr and things like that, and I'll pay someone not a lot of money, again, to come up with, you know, good posts for me, or you know, images and things like that. I'll use those tools where I know my strengths aren't, if I need them. But no, that was very much driven by me. I don't have help. I don't have wives, girlfriends helping me out with that, or someone I turn to and say, do my social media stuff. That's pretty much all me, near enough. Posting all that sort of stuff and driving that marketing, and it doesn't really come naturally. But you know, it's fun. It takes time. That's the other thing. It takes a lot of time to kind of edit videos and things like that, and put it all together. And I think I didn't appreciate how much time. Certainly didn't until I actually started doing that as
Neither
well.
did I. I didn't realize how much actually goes into editing a video.
Definitely.
That does lead me on to my next question, though. So, are there any other areas or tasks that you found particularly difficult?
That I felt particularly difficult,
or some kind of area that you thought might be quite easy and you struggled with?
I wouldn't say struggled. I would say
took time to overcome.
Not even that. Not even that. So obviously, yes, there was the social media side, the marketing. So that did take time to get used to, and I still am. I'm not some guru on this. That's absolutely not the case. I would say still, I'd go back to the camps and the off-ice elements. So when I run clinics at Bradford, for example, so just day clinics, so the club will bring me in for, I think, 3 hours, and it's an hour and a half off-ice and an hour and a half on the ice. So the on the ice stuff I'm pretty comfortable with, although I will always take advice from others, and I have mentored with a chap called Ewan King, who is the Team GB and Cardiff Devils goalie coach and video sort of analysis guy for those clubs as well. He's fantastic. He's been doing it a long time. But the off-ice stuff, I've learnt a lot from people like Colin Booth at MG1, watching what he does. So the first camp we ran in Bradford, I paid for Colin to come and run that, the off-ice section. And I paid for Declan Eastwood to come and run and do it between the two of them. And I watched that. I watched it and I learned, I was like, okay, they're doing that. And they understand, or, they can teach the science behind it. And maybe I can't do that, but I can go and do those drills with the kids. So I can go for those clinics. I can do that now. I'm happy. I don't need to bring in outside help for that. For the camps, I could do it, but I don't think the kids would get the best value out of it. And that's the thing is, for me, if I'm going to do it, I don't want to do it on the cheap. I want to do it right. So I want to bring in the people I either trust or the people I know about who are going to deliver something really fantastic. So I'd say for me, comfort-wise and stuff, still the off-ice side for a camp. At a push, I might be able to step out my comfort zone and do it. But I prefer to bring in outside help to do that sort of thing. The other side as well, when you're running the camp and physically there on the day, is you get pulled in a lot of different directions. So there's always someone wanting to chat to you. You've got to set up the drills. You've got to brief the coaches. You've got to brief the shooters as you've found yourself. So to be able to, just for 2 hours, just say, right, you guys are running this now, it gives me a chance to set up a little bit on the day too. So there's that element as well.
Your first camp or clinic, was it quite difficult to give up responsibility?
No, not at all. Not at all. I was happy.
I guess it's who you've got. If you're confident in the people that you bring on, I think that makes that decision quite easy.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. So I deliberately, for the first camp, for example, for bringing in Colin Booth for MG1. So Colin kind of is, at the minute, I would say he's kind of the bar. He's the one people know about to do the cognitive skills and off-ice work and things like that. He does that as a full-time business himself. He's set up and he's done it for a long time. And he's very good at it. I've watched him. He's fantastic, and he's better than I am at it, and he can explain it better than I am. So for him to do that, I don't feel like I need to be in control of that, because I wouldn't add anything to that. And for the first camp we ran, I had Ollie Thomason, who has had coaching from ex-NHL goalies and has a lot of experience playing at fairly high levels. So I'd worked with him before, so I had that trust with him. And maybe so with younger shooters and things, we've got to be a little bit more directive. But so for this second camp we've done, I brought in people like Curtis Warburton and Alex Aldale. Again, they've played at the highest level in this country, and have both worked camps before. So I knew, I'd planned out all the drills there, but I could have quite easily, I'm pretty sure, said to them, right, you need to run a station for this camp, and just sort of delegated. I'm sure they would have done it and done a fantastic job of it. And I think Curtis wanted to do a drill at the end, and Alex wanted to adjust something. Absolutely fine, no problem. So I don't think it's a control thing. I think had it been maybe one of the younger shooters saying, oh, I've got an idea for a drill, I'd kind of want to hear it before, because I need to know what the goalie's going to learn from that drill, rather than I'm just going to Michigan it every time into the top corner or something like that. So, we need to be aware of that.
Yeah. No, that's really good. The next question I've got is, do you have any words of wisdom or any advice or something that people should know? Say if someone wanted to start a small service-based business or teaching-based business, what kind of shocked you as you were going through it? Or what do you think people should know?
What should people know? My best part of advice would be just do it. Just do it and go from there. There won't ever...
Was this something
Sorry,
that
Jake.
was this something that you were putting off for a while?
Yes, it was. Yeah, I was waiting for the right time. I was waiting for the right time.
Did you wait for
It,
the right
it,
time, or did you just
no, it never.
decide
No, it never
the
came.
time's done? Yeah.
It was never going. I think in my head, I had an idea of I'll need this, I'll need this, I need this, I need this, and this. Um, there is a certain amount of that, but not much. Not much. I mean, if I wasn't able to ice skate and I never played hockey before, I wouldn't go and be a goalie coach.
I think you can start with a
But
lot less than you
seriously,
think you need.
definitely, you can absolutely, and you'll learn as you go. And that's the key for me, and that's my mindset has always been within this business and at work. It's you really it's key. You've got to have a growth mindset, and you've got to have that opinion of yourself that I'm never ever going to be the best at anything ever. I always have to learn, and if I think I'm the best at something, I'll stop growing and then I'll die. You've got to adjust. As I said before, sort of, I got some. So I had been putting this off. I had someone to give me someone, again, not going to name any names. Someone I trusted, probably gave me some bad advice. They gave me some good advice, but they probably gave me some bad advice that was a bit selfish to them. It suited them to give me that advice. And when I went against it, they weren't too happy about it, but c'est la vie. The truth is, in the business I'm in, it's too small and too sort of niche for there to be competition. We really kind of have to work together and learn from each other. For me, if we're going to, so if the aim is to raise be the tide that raises all the boats, we've got to work together. So I've got to work with Ewan King and Dave Clancy and Dave Lawrence and John Russell and like the 10 or 12 guys who are goalie coaches in the UK. There just aren't enough of us. There's just not enough. So you can't be in direct competition, if that makes sense. You've got to work together and learn from each other. So I learned from these guys. They taught me a lot, and big ups to all of them. And Ewan, he put on a mentorship program, and he's very good at monetizing things as well. So he I had to pay to do that, but then lots of other people. But it was invaluable because I'm paying for my own development, and I got to sit with, he ran 12 webinars, but the real takeaway from that is now, I've got his phone number and I can lean on him and say, what do you think about this? And he sends me drills and he sends me plans and things like that. And I can just ask him questions. And it's just having that network is fantastic. So advice is just start. Just start is the biggest one, and learn all the time. Do not stop learning. And if you have it in your head that you won't learn from someone else, you're going to die, or you'll be disrupted. You're fit right for it. And that's what I'm finding is I can go and coach a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old. I'll learn something from them. It might not be technique based. It will be something. How to teach a little bit better, how to be a little bit more patient, how to get an idea across a little bit better for that person. Just anything, any nugget, just go into it trying to learn something.
Yeah. I'm glad you've said just start, because the whole point of Wake Up is to try and get people to have a bit more agency. So figure out what you want to do and then just go for it. And then what I kind of want to do is give people the tools or information or confidence to go and start what they want to do. I just want to see people live up to their full potential.
Absolutely.
Do you think you live every day with a purpose? Are you waking up kind of driven?
Am I waking up driven every day with a purpose? Yeah, I think so. Some days I'm human. Some days are harder than others. I'm not a robot. Some days I want to stay in bed. Some days I get in front of the laptop here or drag myself into the office. It's like, but I've got my own routines to get myself started. So I use Kanban, which is basically an action tracker for my team and for myself at work. And I do the same for hockey. I've got a plan. I've got a plan to work through so that even if I'm not motivated that day, I've got a plan and I time box. So I use lots of different methods. because even if I'm not motivated that day, it's like, right, but I know what I'm doing. I didn't need the motivation to be able to plan, which sometimes takes a lot of energy to do. So I don't wake up every day ready, but I've got systems in place to make
You
sure
do
I'm
have
ready.
a
I can be effective and productive that day.
you have a bigger overall goal that you're working towards.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, for the business side of things, I've mentioned it before. It's to raise the tide, make the standard of goalies better in this country, and as best we can.
That's really good. Such a is it humble or generous goal?
It's for me. It's I get a buzz out of it, Jacob. Not everyone does, and some people want to do it for money, and that's absolutely fine, absolutely fine. I know I could make more money out of this business. I know I could, because I know the numbers, and I know where I lose money, and I know where I make money, and I break even. I break even. I do okay, and I'm happy with that, because for me, as I sort of said towards the start, is I want to be compensated fairly for my time and effort. I don't particularly think this is a viable business. I could definitely make more money. I don't think I'd be any happier for it.
Yeah. It's more about your values. You feel like you're doing something valuable for the hockey community in the UK.
I hope so. I hope so. And maybe one of them will make it to the NHL and pay me a big fat check one day. Who knows?
Yeah.
And then I can make some money.
Yeah. The last question then, is there anything you want to ask me? If there isn't, then that's fine.
Yeah, what got you started doing this?
You know what it was? Is I was looking at myself and I was thinking, why are you not doing what you should be doing? And I was kind of beat myself up a little bit about it. So I was like, you've got so much potential. What's really stopping you? And then I was kind of thinking about this more and more and more. I was thinking it's just my own brain. There's no external forces that are stopping me. It's me versus me, basically. And then I was thinking, well, how could I get myself out of this? Because, some people say you just have to wake up and do it, but I don't know. I found that really hard. So I thought if I could figure out a way.
That's not easy.
No.
Yeah.
So I thought if I figure out a way that can kind of help people get to where they want to be, because everyone's got some kind of goal, but too many people don't have the drive or the confidence to do it. So this podcast is a really good way for me to talk to really interesting people, get advice. I learn a lot with this. So obviously I've had Steve and Mark on. They're both pretty incredible people.
I listened to those. I thought they were really good. Yeah.
Yeah. So they've done really well for themselves. They're perfect role models. And I'll still speak to them after this. So doing this podcast, I get to do that. And then it also keeps me accountable as well. Because obviously I don't have many followers or subscribers at the moment. I maybe get like 10 views an episode. But once this starts getting a bit bigger, I will have a duty to those people. So it's not me versus me anymore. I have a responsibility to provide for more than just myself.
So you feel like that's an extra motivator for you?
Yeah. I also know that I'll enjoy it as well, because I've always liked speaking to people who are a little bit different. Just people that are doing something a bit over the norm. I find that really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I noticed sort of at the camp, and I don't know how well you knew him, but like you were very inquisitive. You're very inquisitive. Asked lots of questions. So I think something like this is going to come very naturally to you. Actually, I don't know if you feel like you're outside of your comfort zone doing this. You sort of said you enjoy talking to people who are doing something a little bit different. So I think this is actually it's going to be good for you. You
know what? I'm not out of my comfort zone talking to people. I'm out of my comfort zone recording videos. But
okay,
it's weird. So this is fine because I'm talking to you and something's recording in the background. But if I tried to put the phone down and record myself, I've got this like mental block. I just can't do it. So that's one thing that I really want to get over as well. And I feel like by doing this, I'm going to have to start doing the social media stuff, and that'll get me over my fear.
Does that unnerve you a bit?
Yeah, recording myself. I don't know what it is. I've got like a real hatred towards it.
I'm the same, by the way. I don't generally like to do like stuff like that.
So you have done this though, haven't you, in the past with your goalie development business?
I have a little bit. I mainly do. So you probably weren't there, but like at the end of the camp, a guy interviewed me at the end of that, and we'll put a little video together, but not much. Most of the videos and things I put on are basically glove saves and stuff to big the goalies up and just get the word out a little bit. That's mainly what you actually see if you look back. There's not many of me in there. There's not many of me, and that's okay because I'm trying to build the business. I'm not trying to build me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you speak into the mic though? Do you put a voiceover on any of your videos?
Sometimes if I put videos up where I'm doing video analysis, so if I talk, I'll generally post the video analysis as if I'm sending it to the kid or the parent. So I've got a few of those. I'm okay with those. Tell you what I used to do, Jacob. I used to be a DJ way back. Do you remember me saying I left BAE the first time?
Yeah.
So I went to BA DJ. I wanted to be ones and twos on the decks and all that stuff, all my vinyls. So I spent years doing that and worked around bars and things, and I did okay with it. I never made a fantastic amount of money, but that was way out my comfort zone because as soon as so the DJ I wanted to be at the time was like just playing the music, and sometimes you get away with that, but unfortunately, if you want to get there, you kind of have to work your way up. So I used to do functions as well, and I used to do places like Revolution, and there was a place called Cafe Manana, which is now Beluga in Preston. But like you have to get on the microphone for that, and you have to kind of announce things and whatever. And that I was so awkward, mate. I was so awkward doing that. It was terrible. Yeah, but that was like every time I had to do it was like the pit in my stomach, like. Ugh. And now, like, I'm okay presenting in front of people and things like that. I don't really care anymore, but I'm that bit older as well. So I understand there's that fear there too. Yeah.
I know it's just a skill that you learn. You build the confidence. I know that I'll get there. It's just the start is so hard.
Yeah. It's just one of those things you got to start somewhere, and there won't ever be a perfect time. That would be my advice to you. It won't. If you're waiting for something to happen, there's something in your mind that says, "Oh, when this gets there, I'll do it then." It probably won't happen. It might.
There's a book that I'm reading at the moment. It's called "The Courage to Be Disliked," and I don't know if you've ever read that. If you're into reading books,
I haven't heard that one.
There's one kind of part of it that explains that the reason you're waiting for the right time is you're not actually waiting for the right time. You're looking for an excuse because you're scared of something. So in my case, it would be I'm scared of failing, or I'm scared of looking like an idiot. So I'm going to make up this excuse where it's not the right time, and I'll find reasons not to do it. And that's how I justify it to myself.
Okay. Yeah. How do you feel about failing? What's your views on failing?
As a competitive person,
yeah,
I don't really like it. That's not true. That's not true, actually. If it comes to something where I'm in competition with someone, I'll try my best, and if I lose fair and square, that's fine. Trying to think now. I think what I have a problem with is people seeing this and it kind of not going anywhere. So it's kind of like a failed. Not if I'm competing against someone, I find that fine, and if I lose, it's fine. But if it's me failing against myself, so I start this and I don't do it, so that I won't.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's quite interesting. Yeah, no, that's good. Like you say, you have started. You made. That's it. You took the leap. You've done it. You've made that first step. Yeah, failure for me is, and especially my line of work I was in, because I was in quality for years, which is basically you have to do root cause analysis of things, and you have to dig into issues and do Six Sigma assessments and all that sort of good stuff. Failure was, I looked at failure every day, all day, every day for years and years, and I still do. I look at better ways of doing things, and when I'm coaching, I look at positives, but generally I look at sometimes what people are doing wrong or not doing. And I fail a lot, and I can't tell you the amount of times I fail. I just, not in anything like a particular business or anything. This is the first time I've sort of set up a business, but I failed to start a few times. I let a billion goals in. I've always failed at something, but you've got to learn. If you can learn to learn from failure, that's really powerful, and be accountable as well. And not be that afraid of it, I suppose, as well as failing. It's like, if you kind of view it and say, well, I'm going to learn from this, or if you start something up and it doesn't work, you might learn that actually it wasn't for you and you don't want to do it anymore, and you tried it and it's like, I didn't get what I wanted out of it. And it might succeed at what you thought. You might get tens of thousands of followers, and it's like, actually, I've done that and it didn't give me the feeling I wanted to, so I'm going to try something different. I don't know. You kind of have to try and fail sometimes. You do need to give it a good go. Try. Yeah. Why do you think that is? That's very true. That's very true. But you don't have to be the best at it either. You can still give advice. I'm not the best goalie, Jacob. I'm not. I never will be. I'm not the best goalie coach either. Doesn't mean I can't be a goalie coach or a goalie. Yeah, absolutely, mate. But, you've always, as long as I've known you, you've always been very inquisitive, and you always seem to have, you've always asked questions, and I think that'll serve you really well. And you always seem to be, I think when we first started, you were running your vinyl business. You started that. Yeah. Yeah. So big learning experience. You set it up, you did it, you came away from it and you learned something. But you've always had that questioning about it as well, and saying, you say to me, I want to set something, I want it to be able to scale up, and where you've kind of, you're picking people's brains. And you spoke to, I listened to the podcast with Steve and Mark, and you're naturally going to pick people's brains and build your network. And I think whatever you do, mate, eventually you'll get there and you'll succeed, no doubt. Leverage the strength of others.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Same way you
Stephen Covey. I do it for honor. I do it all the time, mate. I have that mentality. I am not the best at this. Someone is better than me. And I'm going to go and find out who they are, and I'm going to ask them. Yeah. Good. Excellent, mate. I'm glad. My pleasure. No, thanks for having me. I didn't even know you were doing this, so I'm glad you reached out, because, it was interesting. And I'll be listening regularly when you put them out.